right.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
And welcome to E-Course Adventures Live. I'm Blair.
And I'm Brad. Welcome to the show. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about how music and sound can help create more immersive learning environments.
Totally. And if we have time, we're going to get into chatting about an awesome conversation we had last night with an investor and just some of the things that we have learned from this process of getting into the whole big thing of investing. So stick around.
Dun, dun, dun. Wow, did you make that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's our new intro. Hopefully you guys like it.
I sure liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty fancy. Now, our goal with the show, this is officially episode number 2. And last week after episode 1, we had Andy Freest on the show, who was one of the original co-founders of the Great E-Course Adventure. He busted his butt for a year and a half before deciding to go off on his own vision quest and creating his company, Audio Alchemy. And he's now doing awesome retreats with music producers. They actually had to evacuate the last one and escape the volcano on the big island of Hawaii. You can check that out in the last episode. And he's now getting into licensing music to e-course creators with their company. He's got a team of producers that are going to be making the music for the courses you're all creating. So you can learn about that in the last episode, and obviously when that business becomes something that is actually real, tangible, and can sell your product, we'll let you all know. But it was good to have Andy back on the show, and music's been a huge part. It was a huge part of Andy's life. Music's a huge part of your life, Master Blair. I like to strum on the guitar myself, and I tend to sing a lot, even when it's not invited or welcomed by the family. So today's conversation is going to be around all the lessons that we've learned around incorporating music into your courses. There's so much that can improve a learning experience online by just incorporating some music. You can create an emotional response for the person that's watching your video just from the right choice of music. So we're going to do a little game show today with Blair. Blair's going to play a game show host, and I'm going to play a contestant. And we're going to improv some stuff just to show you how the music can really create a different tone, even with the exact same words being spoken.
Totally. There's so much to say about choosing the right music to just like, choose the emotion that you want your viewers, your students to experience. Even as I was creating this intro piece, I was going through some of the stock music sites and trying to find the right music for this. And it was really challenging because there's a lot of really good music on those sites that could work. And I eventually narrowed down to about 3 or 4 pieces and then showed Brad just to get his perspective because we're sharing.
Rock and roll! Was choice number 1.
Well, and there was kind of a nice blend between, like kind of spacey intro sound feel to kind of go with the visual that we ended up hiring someone off of Fiverr to help create us for that. So shout out to Fiverr for helping us find the right creatives.
High five, Fiverr.com.
Yeah.
We're not even getting paid for that
No.
shout out there. But
Yeah.
Fiverr, if you want to sponsor the show, it's 10,000 bajillion per episode.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun to be able to just do that. But it's also time consuming and takes a little bit of a decision at the end to choose. Because, we had something that was a little more, a little more easy and simple. Then we had something a little more rock and roll, even in this piece. Then we had something a little more electronic music. Then we tried something a little more cinematic and didn't quite fit. And this is the piece that we ended up. It might change as we go. We don't know. This is part of the fun.
That's the beauty. And as I was saying earlier, our commitment's just to make the show a little bit better every week. So we're going to add, new features, or we'll try new segments. And this week we're doing the musical game show segment. And we're also going to the How Did You Do That section of the show, which was a big hit last week and a lot of people liked it. We're going to do the How Did You Do That segment today for probably 4 or 5 different video clips where we're going to kind of break them apart and talk about the background sounds so that you can really start to imagine what kind of ambiance you want to create. Ambiance. I really like saying that word. Let's all say it at once. 1, 2, 3. Ambiance. Oh, I like the way you said it. You brought like a whole different vibe to that.
Yeah, weren't expecting that, right?
You know, I wasn't. So we're going to break apart a couple different course lessons from the Great E-Course Adventure.
Yeah,
from our
we went
masterclass.
through the 90 so lessons that we have of the Great E-Course Adventure, and then even more with, we're going to showcase one of the clips from the Art of E-Course Creation, and get into looking at all the different layers that we tend to take for granted. I find working with our students, and when I'm doing some of this coaching work with them individually, that a lot of people don't recognize how many layers there are in the sound side of things that's creating the world. We tend to be visual creatures and take sound for granted, but it's all those subtle little pieces, that really add up. And I mean, that seems to be the message that we keep coming back with, is just really paying attention to all the layers as we grow our consciousness around what is actually happening in all these amazing courses. When you watch a movie, start listening for all the layers. What is the music playing so subtly in the background, and how is that playing your emotional strings? How is that actually making you feel? The composer, in the movie world, has the role of actually helping guide the listener to what they should feel by the director's, by what the director is asking for, to make us feel an emotion leading up to a scene, leading out of a scene. And so this is a part of our role too, as we are playing the role of director as much as we are as the teacher in these courses that we create and these worlds. So that's just kind of a nice little.
Well, before we
segue.
get into that,
Yeah.
we're gonna interrupt the segue with a commercial break, and the commercial break's actually a congratulations break to Adam and Alea from Move, Think, Smile. They're two of our students. They've been on the mountain with us for about almost a year now, I think, and they just reached the snow-capped peaks of Launch Summit, and they launched their course.
Whoa.
So I posted the link to their site, Move, Think, Smile. You can check out their course, which is Badass Bootcamp, Escaping Burnout to Badassery. Their website is looking awesome. The videos on it are looking so good. They did some green screen work as well, which we were super impressed with yesterday.
This is it, right?
Or is not the course. That's just the landing page.
Okay, let's find the course.
Yeah, the course is somewhere on there.
Where is it?
I just posted the course in the link here in the whole YouTube situation. There it is.
There we go.
Now we're there.
Here's the
all
new
right,
one.
badass. So that's
Nice.
So they did
stress.
they did such a good job with this, and they've got a really high converting Facebook ad right now, which is driving people to this page. They've got a bunch of different videos on the page as well. And so this is basically bringing people into their high-end coaching program and e-course. So they're including high-level coaching with their course, so that every student that signs up actually gets them to walk them through the entire transformational process. I love it.
Nice. I want to book a badass breakthrough session.
Who doesn't want a badass breakthrough session?
This
I
is
would love to
awesome.
see you more badassed out, Blair.
Which one? Should we play a little bit?
Yeah, play the one where she's upside down. That looks like fun.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let's check it out for a minute or two.
Hey guys, we are behind the scenes on the set, and I'm here with my partner Adam, who plays Bit.
Also known as Badass Island Technology.
And we're getting ready to film some epic obstacle-crushing episodes for the island.
You want to see something totally badass? Look at that. Now what if your stress just vanished? I know Elliot, also known as Commander here at Badass Island, has talked a lot about the pain points of stress and what it's doing to you physically, which you probably already know. That's why you're watching this video. Yes, it does suck to be in a sucky place.
Trace the
But
music.
let's talk about Move, Think, Smile and how badass it really is. Now, there's no shortage of diets or gyms or counselors out there, and we're educated people. We know what we're supposed to be doing.
Now I'm
We also
guessing
know what we're
they
not
probably had
supposed
a
to be
really
doing.
refined
But guess
script
what?
as well.
We don't do the things we should be doing, and we keep doing the things we shouldn't be doing. Why is that? Well, it's part of the brain and part of the habit, part of neural networking and some other crazy stuff that we know about. And Move, Think, Smile
good.
really is the system to nudge you past those places that the diets and the gyms and those programs can't do. It is a lifestyle for living an incredibly badass, amazing life. Now let's talk about that. In a grand
All right. If you guys want to check out more of that, there is the link in our chat. So go check that out. That's also a nice segue to also remind you that we do have a live chat going on right now. So if you want to
If you have questions,
kind of go over there and we'll be able to answer that.
and we could talk to each other.
Oh, why are those?
Hey, Steve Baker.
Cue the
Cue.
dramatic music.
Yes.
Nice.
All right. So, as you were segueing, Blair, which direction did you want to segue to? Do you want to do the game show? Do you want to do some show and tell? I'm going to let you spearhead the direction of this next decision.
Well, let's just see. So, let's do some show and tell.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So, which scene do you want to show first?
All right. So this here is This was a video that we created for our thank you
With the Great E-Course Adventure. It's actually not in use anymore. So if you're new to the mountain, you'll have never seen this video where we take you aboard a plane.
Yeah. So this is what our original thank you page after you signed up, and we just wanted to have something for you to go to give a thank you. And so here we are. It's kind of the idea of the story was that we're just about to fly off to base camp. So as you can see, we're kind of in that place on the dock, about to jump on a float plane. So just listening to the sound effects in the background help create the world, because that wasn't there. This was just a static shot, that an image that we have. And
Thank you so much for joining us in the Great E-Course Adventure. Until the day of our departure, when we begin our journey to Launch Summit, we encourage you to get to know your fellow adventurers around the community campfire.
And you can also head on over to the base camp checkpoint anytime you want to get yourself oriented and prepared for the incredible journey that we have ahead.
If at any time you need help, we're here for you. Just ask.
We're so excited to get to know you better and to support you in creating the greatest e-course that you can possibly imagine.
We'll see you on the mountain.
Love it. So we got some birds chirping. You can hear the rush of the water up against the dock. You've got the airplane. It was pretty darn believable that we were actually standing there on a dock.
totally. And the clip, it was actually a video clip that we had just looping in the background, because you can see the waves moving. And yeah, so you can see here the waves kind of coming in, but there wasn't any sound that I can remember.
It wasn't. You added the sound. So
I went, and I'll show you guys right now the place that I tend to go for most of my sound. It's called freesound.org. Big shout out to this group, this community, who keep bringing new sounds to the community, and you can just search whatever that you want. So if you want some seagulls, type in seagulls, and then
who doesn't want more seagulls in their life? Listen to that. This is beautiful.
flock of seagulls.
Makes me just feel like I'm at the beach right now, and they're trying to steal my French fries.
Get away, seagulls! It's my French fry!
Yeah. So this has been a really amazing tool for creating the soundscapes in the background that just create that extra element of realism. Because when we go outside, there's going to be some sort of ambiance that's happening.
Ooh, say it again, Blair.
Ambiance.
That's nice.
Of the birds, the wind, the waves, if you're by the water, the traffic, if you're in an urban, environment, all those types of things. Start thinking along those elements. Yeah, so that's what we did, and then we just kind of created the soundscape to go along with the video, and then the big part is actually mixing your levels. And so you want to make sure that your voice is nice and clear over the top, and that your music, if you're bringing that, isn't going to be necessarily interrupting and getting in the way. That's something to really be key about. And if you are doing it yourself and you think it's good, maybe just ask a friend to watch that and get some feedback. And usually people who aren't familiar with the dialogue, because if this is your thing and you recorded it, you know what you're saying, it's really easy for the brain to fill in the blanks and make it easy to understand what you're saying, because you just did it. You just probably spent 5-6 hours, if not days, creating this thing. So you get that first impression from a family member or a friend, and they'll tell you pretty quickly if they can't understand or hear what the dialogue is. Yeah. And then you just go back to the drawing board. A big part of this process is just going back, fixing, and then as the year goes by, you're going to get a lot better.
Now, I also just, one of our students, Sarah McCann, she's creating a course called Escape from Nicotraz. So it's an Escape from Alcatraz theme. And hey, get your elbow out of my side over there. Hey, get it out.
Sorry.
So it's to help people quit smoking. So she's helping them to get out of jail with their smoking addiction. And it's a hypnosis course. And she's been making a whole bunch of videos for the course. And she discovered that YouTube has free music section so that you can use. There's tons and tons of music, free music that you don't have to give credits for or anything like that you can put with your videos. Yeah, so the link is youtube.com/audio library/music.
Heck yeah,
Bam.
I'm gonna check that out.
It's
nice.
on the side.
I didn't know
Yeah,
about that.
she just posted it today. I was like, oh, that's perfect timing for the special episode we're doing today. So
Wow.
thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
And that's
Totally.
the beauty of having this community is like
Oh my God, yeah,
everybody
totally.
is like discovering all this stuff, and we're getting to share it, and now we get to share it with
We
you.
learn so much all the time from our students, especially now that 2 years later after launching the Great E-Course Adventure, that we're now starting to see the fruits of all this labor. And just like what we just showed you with the Badass Boot Camp, it's coming through, and everything that they've learned, they're sharing in the community, and I'm picking up things still too, and it's awesome. Yeah. By no means are we like the leading top experts in this. We're just a couple guys doing this, and we started 4 years ago, so to speak, creating things with green screens and getting into it. And so that's why we're here now with this show, and it won't take much for you guys to eventually get to where we're at. It's just, if that's what you want, right? That's a big thing. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and and a big part again is just refining your media, making it as best as you can, and just continuing to play with that. So let's go to our next video. Love the show and tell.
Which one?
All right, so we switch it over.
Infinite Us. Ooh.
All right,
okay, this is Fennel Caves. So this is, I think it's around checkpoint 10 in the Great E-Course Adventure, and we are
11-1.
just discovering, the future of sales funnels. So this is we're in a cave here.
Yeah, this was actually a really fun one because we didn't really add much music, if any, to the Great E-Course Adventure, except for the ending that you heard in the last one. It was the consistent kind of theme song for our ending piece after each video. Yeah. And we got to this point, and we had the idea as we're going into the caves, like, wouldn't it be fun if we got lost in these caves and did that? And as we were producing this, I was directing Brad and Andy through these cave pieces, and the pre-production took quite a bit of time.
It sure did.
Because a big part of it was finding the cave pieces, and the environments that we wanted to, then piecing together how we were going to go through. You'll see in a second. It'll make a lot more sense as after you see this. And then I found after putting it together, it still seemed it was missing something. Yeah. And then I was like, oh yeah, it just needs a appropriate piece of music
to go with the experience. So
totally
play it.
All right, here we go.
Awesome, everybody. This is Fennel Caves. So we're gonna go find a cool cavern somewhere in here where we can do the first lesson.
Let's do it.
Let's go explore.
Wow, this is just absolutely incredible.
Oh, cool and shimmery. Man. So according to the map, it's just through here.
Okay, are you sure about that?
Yeah, I saw it. Trust me.
Okay. Dude, are you sure, man? We're going the right way? I feel like we've been here before.
No. This is the right way. Trust me. This is different.
So
It's
sure
basically
yourself.
mine and Andy's
And to
relationship
think
in a
that this is
nutshell.
what they did for education, entertainment.
Right on. It's a dead end.
Yeah, but it's a good sign. We haven't been here yet.
I guess you could look at it that way.
I'm pretty sure I just made a mistake with one of the lefts
Alright.
that we took. We just gotta go back. Buddy boy over here fell for the get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah, we all know how that ends.
Yeah, do not touch the treasure.
Can we just go ask those people, please?
No, dude, trust me, I got this.
I really don't know if you do, man.
You got trust issues, just believe me. We're gonna get there. See, dude? No. You just gotta believe.
Alright.
Nice
Alright,
little wiggle.
everybody, so this
Okay,
is
play this just
definitely
real
on the
quick
map.
here, because there's some
I
cool
knew
sound
we weren't
effects here to
lost.
make this real.
Okay,
So-
we'll get to that in a second because this is actually a really cool scene too. But this was essentially the next scene that we kind of piece it all together. So you can quickly notice how the music helps create the emotion of silliness and fun and lightheartedness. We could have created, a really deep and heavy string section and making it like despair, but that's not the emotion we were going for. So I found this nice piece, I forget on the site that we were using at the time for sound. And the part that I've been really lucky coming into this as an audio engineer by trade is being very comfortable in the editing software environment. And that piece that we had, it might have been 30 seconds long, and it took about a minute and 20 seconds to get to where we're at now in this video clip. And so I had to loop that, and so finding the right pieces and places in the audio loop or the audio piece to make it longer and extend it.
Now, what's a trick for people to do that? Because I've had to do it over the years as well. If I'm making a video and it's looping, and it was. Do you have any tricks for that? Because I was, it was always just luck if it worked out for me.
Right. Yeah. So, when we're listening to a piece of music, to start, like where to start, right, on this. But when you're listening to a piece of music, there's usually a beat. There's usually a beat to music, and you can kind of like count with it or snap your finger. Well, that's the tempo, and the musicians are playing, and everything has a cycle generally of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, which is what's called the count. And so in a piece of music, there's usually a place when you're listening to it that you can tell is like the start of a phrase. And when the music starts, it's generally quite obvious. It's maybe a cymbal hit there, or it just kind of sounds like the beginning of a musical idea, what we call a musical phrase. And what you want to do is, in that piece is where at the very beginning you kind of listen for where that downbeat of like the drum is, or when you're about to snap your fingers to it, if you're kind of tapping your foot or snapping your fingers. And then you open it up. When you open up the audio file in your editing software, you can see the wavelengths in it. And you just want to kind of clip it where you can see what's called the transient. It's like these big wave pieces. I can come over here maybe actually and show you something. It's easier said than understood. Free sound. Yeah, so here, so if we go to these seagulls, for example, open this up. So you can see these transients. So this isn't necessarily a music piece, but let's just pretend it is. And we're coming through, and these peaks are what are called transients, and you can kind of see the landscape of this. Let's say this piece right here. If you're listening to this at home, sorry, I'm not able to explain this better via just my words. So tune into our video. Check it out. I would clip it right here at this piece at the beginning of this transient, And let's say that I'm listening through the track, and I like this piece right here before this next big transient. Let's say that's 30 seconds of music, and this is the beginning of the next phrase. I can clip right at the beginning of that next phrase and then try to loop that together. And chances are, because the musical idea is complete and whole in that phrase, then it should, good chances that it's going to work. If not, maybe try the next phrase entry point in that clip, and then adjust your beginning and end pieces maybe a little bit, and then add a crossfade. If you can find that on your editing software and you add a crossfade, then those are just little tricks to make your audio stretch at pieces, because I might want the tail end of this, like in that musical piece, I wanted there was a natural ending to that song. I wanted to keep that complete, but saved it for the end. And so I just made the middle piece loop a few more times to kind of just buy time to stall until the ending. And then I let the ending occur, and then it ended.
Yeah.
Right? Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, I am available to help you guys out on these pieces. I love to work one-on-one. So, let's play. I mean, it's really worth understanding these things and educating yourself, empowering yourself, so you're not still doing the same old, somewhat good e-courses, or feel like you always have to go and hire someone to do this stuff. It's quite simple after you do it once or twice.
Yeah.
It's
definitely not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. Yeah, so anyways, that's the music, to this piece. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It was a lot of fun directing the piece to... Oh, my hands.
Hey, get your hands off my side.
And, yeah, so... And then that led us to the actual piece where we can go through. And the sound effects... it was a lot of fun creating this because it was kind of a space age... what would I say? Like
theme for this?
Theme with the futuristic, some new age technology. I'm just going to push play.
Just play the clip; they'll get it.
So, since we've been traveling for quite a while, let's just take a break here and dive into our first lesson. So the first lesson is on the whole.
You hear the
launch
echo in the
sequence.
cave.
Hey, Andy, don't touch that. You don't know what it is. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create a really attractive
reverb on
landing
his
page
voice.
that has a big
Create
headline,
the
essentially
environment, the
promoting
ambiance
whatever it is
of
that
the
you're
cave.
offering in exchange for your email. Promise big, because the bigger the promise, the more people that are going to give you their email. Once you get that email, you're going to deliver their content over the course of a few days. And
So that
once
was the
that
sound
content
effect
runs out, you're
that
going to
we
basically
used to
blast
push the
their
buttons,
inbox
like there was
for
a
the next
button.
week with email after email after email asking for them to purchase your paid e-course. And what did you just do? Go!
Hey guys! Great to see you. Yeah, no, we can't see you.
Now the
We can see you.
computerized
It's us,
version.
it's you from the future.
Little tinny
We
sound
will-
effect you did there
Yeah.
for the future selves.
So just breaking that open is, there was the reverb on Brad's voice and on Andy's voice to simulate the large cavern of a cave. If you were to walk in a big cave,
Hands.
cut it out. And so if you were in a big cave, you're going to hear the reverb of your voice, right? If you were in a small room, it's going to change compared to a large room or a cathedral. So if you're doing an e-course in a cathedral, you'll probably want to add some large reverb to simulate that space that you're in.
Yeah.
Then when Andy was looking around, he pushed a button, which he really didn't push a button, but
He actually just went like this to the air.
into the air. I think we had some sort of shelving unit on the ground there with a bowl or something.
Yeah, had a bowl on it so that he could imagine where the button would
to
be.
give
and
some
push the right
spatial
spot.
awareness in the green screen studio space that we were shooting this.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just kind of pushed the air like that. And so I pushed at that time, timed it with a sound effect of a button, and that makes you think that there was actually a button and that thing was actually real. The brain starts to believe this space is real.
Yeah.
And then I added some lighting effects to it and the sound effect of something's about to happen, and it occurs, and then boom, pops up the future selves of Andy and Brad, and that was a whole nother thing to learn how to do. This holographic style effect on them, creating the light. And that's something that's a whole nother show, talking about special effects and visual. We're just focusing on the audio side right now, and as you can hear their voices.
Really, really important message. Basically, the world of online marketing and e-course creation in the future is a sea of bullshit.
That's a good line to
He's
cut it
got something to say. Yeah, and so you can hear that it sounds like his voice is coming from a tiny speaker. And so that's actually a very simple trick. If you ever want to have that sound effect, I use it all the time with, if you're in like a space shuttle, or you're getting like something like through a headset, and you want that sound effect of a tiny speaker, you use something called a high pass filter on your audio track, and it's using equalization that is in Premiere Pro. You can add it to any of your audio tracks. I'm not sure about all video editing software, so I can't help you if you're using anything else at this point, but it's really just if you take your all your low frequencies, everything underneath maybe 500 hertz, it's like that low rumble. So if you're listening to music, it's the bass frequencies that would be coming through a subwoofer. You remove all that, and what you're left with is just that high frequency, because a speaker that's like a couple inches big can't, if you ever try to listen to really nice dance music on a small speaker, it's quite disappointing because you can't hear any of that nice bass side of things. So that's what we're simulating. Yeah, you're just getting all the high frequencies. So that's a really quick way to play around with your audio and get what's called using the high pass filter, that sort of effect. Yeah, and so that's what we did. It was a lot of effort, and I spent a lot of time on YouTube learning through the tutorials of how to create this simulated effect, but it looks awesome.
So worth it.
Yeah. And
we were so delighted.
As you can see from our earlier work, we've definitely learned a lot as we went. We just kept creating, kept pushing the boundaries, kept trying more things. And
I grew a beard and all the time, and took Blair to do this one video.
Yeah. So because this is already checkpoint 11.
Checkpoint 11. Okay.
Yeah. And so now if we go, for example, to checkpoint 3.
Oh yeah.
Everyone looks a lot younger.
We're less aged. This is probably like
6
maybe
months.
6 to 8 months difference between where we are here in checkpoint 3 compared to where we were at checkpoint 11. And that's like 6 to 8 months of us working 16 to 20 hour days to try and do this thing.
Yeah. And it was actually a lot of fun. Like,
it was so much fun.
Shout out to Brad for actually holding through and not shaving or cutting his hair. And it was kind of cool because it was really like he was going up the mountain, and as it progressed, he would just get more shaggy and grizzly and
yeah.
So here we go. We're just going to play this. This is called Taking Inventory, and we'll talk about what happens after the video.
My back needs
Sherpa Steve. For any newbies around here.
According to the map, Launch Summit Trailhead should just be up around the corner here.
Can you see it?
Not quite. I think it's just over the trees. This is exciting.
Close,
God, it feels like we've come pretty far.
Yeah.
Even though like the journey hasn't officially started.
No. We're just still in prep mode right now.
Yeah. So let's just take a moment to celebrate that we have come this far. That we're almost at the trailhead of Launch Summit, where the journey really, really begins.
Mm-hmm.
And everything up to here, all of the work we did at base camp, the preparations, gathering our tools together, and really just like getting clear on our intentions for the journey ahead, all of that has been foundational work that's 100% necessary if we truly, truly desire to succeed with what we're setting out to do, which in this case is to create the greatest e-course we could possibly imagine. Right now, you're experiencing the greatest e-course we could imagine as a team, as a crew, as a group of creative minds who love business and love sharing our gifts. And so we just want to
Cue the
remind you
inspiring
that you
music.
showed up to this series, this adventure, feeling like you didn't have something of value to share, feeling like you had to be in a box and do what the gurus or the marketing people or the mentors said so that you could be respected and valued or whatever it was. And we're just going to take all the preconceived ideas and concepts so that when we get to the trailhead, we have a clean slate to be who we are, to activate our creative gifts, to fully own the authentic version of who we are and who we are here to be and what we're here to create and share with the world. Because each of us has value. Each of us has something that we need to share with the world that people want to receive. And so let us just stand here in this moment and really just feel into ourselves, feel the possibilities that if we choose to create and design our lives to be how we want it to be, to align all of our choices and our work that we do with our passions and with what we love.
For not editing that.
Imagine what is possible. Anything. And so let's do this. Let's go to the top of Launch Summit and create and launch the greatest e-course that's ever been created. Greater than the e-course that we created. How awesome would that be? Let's do this. The trailhead's up ahead. Yes!
Wow.
Thank you. Brad is now long gone, running extremely fast up the trail because obviously he's quite excited.
So I will say
I thought
that speech was fully improvised on the moment. That was a one-take wonder of a speech.
Yeah, you must have had something really good for breakfast that morning.
I think that was probably at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing working with Brad is just sometimes stuff comes through, and then taking this media had a lot of fun, and I don't think you guys expected what I brought back.
No.
Because I then was inspired by this speech that came through in this lesson, and then was like, I'm going to have some fun with this. So that's where I went and found that inspirational music to kind of boost the feel, and played around with some of the lighting effects in Premiere Pro to black out the background and put a spotlight on Brad, which is really silly and over the top, but it adds the entertainment feel. Is again, that's what we've been going for through all of our lessons, is just keeping people entertained and not really sure what's coming next, because then you want to come through to checkpoint 3.4 now, because you know this, as you're going, you just, if it gets boring, it's like, oh, I got better things to do. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Just breaking that open now is that when they walk through, you know, we use the natural sounds of the floor when we were walking through. I'll play from the beginning again. You can hear, and to me that reminds me of walking across a bridge. And then you can hear all the bird sounds and the natural river.
Launch Summit Trailhead should just be up around the corner here.
Yeah. And so I, again, just using my own ears to see what sounds natural, just brought in the levels of the river and the birds to create that sort of feel. Like if I was just sitting there with the camera and a microphone and really in this space for real, what would that sound like?
Yeah.
You know, what, and without getting in the way too. So we have a little bit of that creative control. And I think this one came across really nice. The background, it was just a loop with, you can see the bird at the top going by, you know, every 30 seconds. And yeah, it worked out pretty good. The music boosting the emotion to help move that, because if he was just kind of there giving the spiel without it, it might
be boring.
It could be a little boring, right?
Or even more cheesy. Like we made it, we turned the cheesy to comedy by adding the inspiring music and blacking out Andy.
And that's our thing. We both have a really nice sense of humor. We like having fun.
At least we think it's nice. At least we think it's fun.
Right. At least we're having fun.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, that's just how it comes through for us. And it doesn't mean that you have to make things into comedy to sell e-courses, right? It really, as we teach throughout this course and all of our other stuff, it really is who are you, and the more that you can be you in your course, then the more that's going to sell your e-courses, because it's all about authenticity today.
Yeah. Be an e-course guru. Gee, you are you.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, I just made that up.
Nice.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have one more clip that we're going to show today. But also, do you have the VR clip? We were talking about we might show the VR clip. Can we show the let them listen to the VR thing that we did?
Oh,
Give them a little taste of that. Because we were basically like we could segue to that and then do the spaceship clip after that.
Did you want to show the Automatora River?
No, because they already got the picture with the river stuff. I mean, it's basically a river in the background. Although Blair's really proud of this one, so
I think this is one of my favorite ones that we've created. Okay, just a quick one. Here we go.
Well, this must be the Automatora River.
Wow, it's huge.
Do you hear the river,
How
everybody?
are we gonna get across this thing?
Well, I bet you Sherpa Steve could carry us all over.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we got.
I just want to say, actually, on a visual side, I'm going to break mold here, but this is a combination of 3 scenes. I think I have a.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's
So
why you're so proud of this
the
one.
background mountains up top here. Oh, I can't do that.
Oh.
There's a big black hole between us. Okay, that doesn't work.
Freaky hand out of here. Creeping me out.
And so the mountains in the background were one image. The trees in the foreground, kind of like where Brad and Andy are kind of standing right now in the shot, was another image. And then the river itself was a video clip that I found. And to create that sort of perspective, I actually had to create my own clip, my own scene.
Pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, so it was, I used Photoshop to help cut out the parts and brought that in using transparencies. That's something you can learn if you're interested just by typing in Photoshop transparency. Lots of great tutorials online. And pieced this one together, and then you can hear the river. It's a much larger sounding river than the last scene, just because it is a much larger sounding river, and there might be some wind sounds because we're up in the mountains.
Wait! There's a guy down the beach there.
Oh yeah.
Hey!
So that was me sitting on a green screen in the corner, and to create the perspective that I was like way down the beach, the way Blair edited that one in is he just made me really, really small on this little scene here.
And because the perspective is we're kind of looking down, down the beach and kind of down at this person, I moved the camera even higher up. Oh, my hand. No, there's the crop part. Whoa, where did it go? And moved the camera a little higher to give that perspective, right? Which we teach all in Green Screen Magic.
.com.
And here again, this was another compilation where the beach that this character named Flo is sitting on was another piece where I blended and faded this beach part into a river scene, which I think is the same river, but then flipped, mirrored to give that same effect. And then the mountains and trees in the background again are blended in. See if you can check it out and see where that is.
Yeah, you! Do you know how to get across the river? Cross the river? Man, you don't cross the river. You gotta learn to go with the currents.
So clearly it's a lesson on using email autoresponders.
Yeah,
like,
what else would-
obviously, like you got to
obviously.
get into the flow. That's why the character's name's Flo. It's
So checkpoint 9 is all about automation, and that's the whole idea, is going with the flow and flowing with the river. And this awesome character Flo helps us with that. And so when Flo's talking in the background, he's further away from us. So in real life, if I had my microphone where the perspective is, we would hear a lot more of a distant sound. And again, that's bringing in the element of reverb into this. So I added more reverb to Flo's voice at this point, and we can listen to again.
Yeah, but we need to get to Salis Canyon, so we're trying to cross the river. Bro, you can't go to Sailor's Canyon until you learn to ride the currents of Automatora River. You guys know about automations, right?
Auto what? What's he talking about?
Automations! Just hold on a second, I'll be right there.
And so that's what we just kind of put it together, pieced it together. And then, as you can see, Flo walks forward, which then is a whole nother shot.
I don't know. May sing a song for us. Far out. What a big group you have here.
So we always, with the Great E-Course Adventure, when the characters would come in, we always wanted them to be talking to this group of, 150 or so people, that there's a whole group of people that are climbing the mountain together. And that's really the feel that we try to create in the community, is that it's a whole bunch of different adventurers from all walks of life who are climbing the mountain and trying to launch the greatest course they can possibly imagine.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun just getting into the metaphors of all of our lessons and tried to do our best to bring characters and themes for each of the checkpoints. So again, with automations, working with emails, and the whole idea around this passive income stream that we all strive for with our e-courses is really having things automated for us, so it all flows really nice. So we don't have to be constantly at our screen responding and setting up people and sending links. That's all about automation. And so checkpoint 9 is all about that, and this awesome character Flo keeps it entertaining, because as we know, that can kind of get a little dry. So
Email automations kind of boring if you teach them in a boring way.
We had fun with that. So anyways, that's that. Let's see.
And the reason we did the hippie Flo is because, like, email automations, he's this lazy hippie that just wants to sit by the river and play music, and so he doesn't want to do all of the work. So he kind of jokes that his email autoresponder has been making him money since 1982.
Yeah, so he just gets to sit on the river and plays guitar all day. Yeah.
Okay, so last week we were sharing a little bit that we started working with this VR company. They hired us for a pilot project. We can't get into the details too much, but they hired us to create this pilot project for kind of a simulation experience to help professional athletes access the flow state. And the simulation is an outer space thing. So if you have headphones, pause the video, go get your headphones, put your headphones on, because what we're going to share with you is far better with some headphones in your ears, because you're going to get the full effect. So this is going to be a virtual reality experience, and it's just for a pilot. But if you close your eyes and just listen to the audio and follow along with the exercise and the experience, you're going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah. What this is, we're using binaural beat frequencies, which is a whole study in science on brain entrainment. Just to give you the skinny on it, is that our brains are working at a certain frequency at different states. So when we're really active and we've had 8 cups of coffee, it's moving very fast, very high frequency. When we're sleeping, it's at a much lower frequency rate. And when we're dreaming, again, it's another frequency rate. And when we're relaxed and very focused, this is what we call the flow state. And this is at about 8 hertz, which is about 240 beats per minute. And so what we can do is, by bringing a sound wave through your ears, it's essentially just hitting what's called the aural nerve in our brain, in our ear, and sends an electric signal to the brain, and can help entrain and teach the brain to start coming to that frequency. It's the law of entrainment, which is something you might have learned in grade 11 science class. And it's now being used for stuff like this. And so this is a really cool practice to get into if you're into meditation or just wanting to relax. And the idea of this track is, well, we actually will guide you through. It's a bit of a journey, but essentially you're going to be in a spaceship cockpit. ready to be shot into space. So you'll be kind of sitting in a cockpit, which hasn't been created yet, or it's being created as we speak.
That's the funny thing about this project is we were given a very small clip with some instructions on what it's going to be, and they wanted us to make the music for it before the full thing was done. And so
we got to have a lot of fun and be creative, which we're really good at.
Yeah.
And created this thing. So I went into my music studio and composed the music. So everything that you're hearing is 100%, pretty much 100% created, except for some specific sound effects. We recorded Brad's voice. I used that effect of the high pass filter to cut out the low frequencies to give that effect of a small speaker in your headset coming through as he's kind of talking, keep the theme of being in a space shuttle. And then I found some sound effects of some actual space shuttle launches that was free online to use, and some actual NASA sound effects that have been released of the countdown and the launch sequence, just to bring in that simulated effect. And then what we were looking for with the music is to create an exciting experience. So that's what I did as a composer, was created this music. So without further ado,
get those headphones on, close your eyes, and enjoy the ride.
Enjoy.
Welcome aboard the Peak Performance Exploration. This is Launch Control. We have a go from all systems on our end, but we are currently noticing overactivity in your brainwave patterns. Just as a reminder, this new Starship technology is solely powered using the flow state of your mind and your ability to remain calm, present, and focused at all times. We are now 60 seconds away from liftoff, and to ensure we reach orbit successfully, let us use this time to take you into your flow state now by relaxing your nervous system and focusing on your breath. So take a slow, deep, controlled breath and exhale it out slowly and gently, clearing your mind of all that is not in this present moment. Soften your stomach muscles as you breathe in and allow for your abdomen to expand like a balloon. Now exhale with control, softening and letting go of any anxious energy you're holding in your body. Breathing in, pulling all of your energy back into your body. Take one more deep, full breath, opening all of your senses. And exhale, entering into the full present state awareness. Good. It seems like your brain waves are leveling out now, which is giving the Starship enough energy for a successful launch. Continue staying present with your breath and sit back to prepare for liftoff.
Okay, we checked all 4 systems, and you're a go on modulation, all 4, and keying was a go. Roger, you're loud and clear here also. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
We should do a meditation break in all of our shows.
Yeah, that was nice.
So nice. I almost fell asleep. So, as you can see, the sound effects make for such a powerful experience. I don't know about all of you out there who are listening to that, but every time I listen to that, like, I can see the space shuttle. I can imagine myself on it. I can imagine myself floating when I get up into space. Like, that's all just from sound. Now, imagine if you use sound like that and merge that with the video experiences that you're creating, or the online education, or even for people like Sarah in our course that's building the Escape from Nicotra's. Like, her entire course could essentially just be audio. That if you create the right type of audio experiences that are like true guided visualizations with the sound effects and the guided cues and the right music and everything, like, you don't even need videos to go with some of your courses out there. Everybody thinks, oh, I got to do videos, but you could just have an audio course that's all like beautiful guided audio tracks, just like the one you experienced.
Yeah, when it comes to how we've, I guess, grown as human beings over all the years, they say that our hearing is much more developed and has a much more direct pathway than our eyes, and that storytelling is something that's just been bred into all of us, and our imagination is this amazing tool that, when given the opportunity, can create amazing imagery and feelings that is beyond anything that we generally can create, even in the visual landscape.
Yeah.
And that's a good example of when left with just a black screen and a really good soundscape, where that can take us. And I think that's a big part of the success that we're experiencing with our e-courses, is because, by trade, I come from as a musician and an audio engineer. I've been bringing that forward through all of our lessons and courses, and you'll see in the next clip that we share too, with the space theme from the Art of E-Course Creation, that this really comes through, and it's really exciting now that we're getting on board with this virtual reality company that's approached us to help consult as creatives on their project. That it's really opening up the doors for a whole new world,
Literally.
Yeah, of
worlds
of how we can create education, and because you can imagine like what science class would be if it was all in virtual reality.
Yeah.
And,
let's learn about the universe out in a spaceship.
Yeah.
I'd pay attention.
Cool. Totally, right? And so when it comes to, just as a little coaching point of view, when it comes to your courses, start really paying attention to your sound and your audio. That's going to add a whole beautiful depth, if not one of the more important layers of a really good course. That's why we stress getting a really good microphone to record your audio, because if you're in a room with a microphone 4 feet away from you, you're going to sound distant. And a big part of being up close with your students is sounding that way too.
Yeah.
So a lavalier microphone, like right now, our voices are coming across quite clear because the microphone is within an inch of my mouth. and we've done our best, and one of the things that we want to upgrade in our studio in the next 6 months or so is getting a whole bunch of sound dampening materials.
That'll probably just come in when we get the new studio downstairs.
Yeah, so that's something that we're looking to upgrade, because there's a truth to, even if the microphone, we used a microphone, and sat it just outside of the shot, so it would just be like right here pointing down, so we would be able to kind of broadcast the sound of our voice into this microphone, but it's not in the shot, so it looked quite natural that we're not in a studio with a microphone in our face. And when we did that, it's still picking up, at least to my ears, still picking up some of the room sound. And the way to fix that is because when I'm speaking right now, this room that we're in, even though it looks like we're in a big, 120-foot studio or whatever that is behind us, we're actually in a room that's, maybe 8 feet by 12 feet with a piece of green fabric behind us right now. And if I start speaking loud enough, the sound of my voice is going to hit the wall in front of me and then bounce to the wall behind me and come back into the microphone. And that's what we call reverb. It's reverberating the sound, in this room space. And our ear is so highly tuned to be able to pick these things up, then we know just by living life what a small room sounds like. And it's probably coming through a little bit in this microphone. I can't help it. It just is. And if I was to put some panels on the wall in front of me and on the ceiling above me, and my voice, when it goes towards the wall, it will hit those panels, and the panels are designed to absorb the sound, so it's not reverberating and coming back into my microphone.
If you're on a budget, you can just hang up some nice blankets on your wall.
Some thick
that'll
blankets. I know through my recording history, when I was doing a lot of more indie bands and stuff on a budget, we would create for a sound booth. We would take the mattresses off the beds and all the sheets and create like a little cavern of just soft, squishy things. A little fort. A little sound recording fort. Yeah. And we'd go in and record things in there because the sound will bounce off of nice hard surfaces a lot easier than it will off of a nice soft squishy thing.
When I was doing the meditation stuff in my earlier days, I noticed the reverb when I was just using my mic out in like the meditation room where I would teach workshops. And so I started going into the closet. And so I would just shut the door in the closet and I would record all my meditation tracks in a dark clothing filled closet.
So it's a lot more
dirty laundry.
It's a lot more challenging when you've got a video camera with you, because then now you're emulating space and the visual side. So that's a bit of sometimes a trade-off if you're using visual. But if you're just solely creating audio tracks, getting the microphone as close to your mouth as possible, unless you're looking for a distant sound, which sometimes you want to. If I come back,
hello,
and we start talking really loud, right?
Baby's sleeping. You can't yell in the studio sometimes.
Soren's sleeping in the other room. Holy moly, I'm going to get in trouble by Celeste. I'm in for it now.
You are definitely not going to be on next week's show.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Oh, man.
We
might need to call the show.
Well, that's a good time to segue to the next shot.
Let's go to the next clip. Things just got awkward.
Now, where are we? Where am I taking this from?
And Steve just chimed in here. He says a sleeping bag works really good too. Now, Steve, for some reason, I'm picturing you putting a sleeping bag over your head all the way down to your ankles, and then you just sit in that little sleeping bag like a cocoon with your microphone talking. That's what I'm imagining.
So here we are. This is on the E-Course Frontier Starship with Captain Bradley T. Morris giving us the tour.
I like that you're whispering now. You're so paranoid.
I know, right? Don't want to get in trouble twice in a row. And so this would have been, at this point, I think lesson 4 of 7 in this course that we have up now on our platform through Mighty Networks. And so we're going into the cockpit area where our Chief Technical Officer, Andy Friest, is going to be teaching us all about technology. And so we created this landscape using as much stock footage that we could find and piecing it together. You can see here behind Brad, there's like a cool little, what would you call that? Like control screen that it kind of was a whole nother image, and I kind of shrunk it down to place there to make it look really cool. And we did our best to kind of keep the theme going. And for this, since technology is kind of for a lot of people a really scary thing, we wanted to kind of create the vibe of fun and upbeat to keep people engaged through this. So that's what we did. We actually took a track of I think this is a track of Andy's.
This was Andy's music that he made.
Yeah, so this is actually Andy's music that he's produced behind. So some nice upbeat electronic music to kind of also give the feel of Andy in this whole piece. So I'm going to cue it and give you a sense of it.
Bridge of the E-Course Frontier Starship. And just up here is our pilot and the other E-Course Adventure Guide, Mr. Andy Friest. Hey, Andy. Andy. Earth to Andy.
Oh, hey.
I just want to introduce you to all the new recruits.
Welcome, everybody. It's great to have you on board.
So, Andy, I've been telling everyone about this new world of online learning, and I've noticed some concerned recruits. They're feeling a little bit overwhelmed about which tech to use, how to use it, and whether they have enough time to set it all up. Would you be willing to share your approach to the tech side of course creation and help calm their nervous system before we arrive at the new world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, last time that we were exploring this new world, we found an ancient set of scrolls called the Zen of Tech, and they appeared to be written by a legendary tech guru named Master Zen Teach. And these have been my guiding principles ever since. So let me show you guys. Just 1 second.
So as he puts that up, you'll notice the music will change. Gives a whole different experience.
Get clear on what you want, so what you need becomes next step. More important than know how is learn how.
Yeah, so that's the idea of this whole scene. You can see then the music helps guide the listener or the viewer in this case through with playing with their emotional landscape, because music does that. That's what music does. So choosing your music for your pieces, even when we went back to what were Chris and these guys here with the
with Adam.
Yeah, Adam and Leia, right? They chose a really cool piece of music again.
In the scheme of things, you've got health, money,
Beach life,
and relationships.
Yeah. I would say the music in that one could be turned down just like a tiny little notch.
Yeah, that would be some of our feedback. It was just a little bit too present, and that's the other thing too, is actually playing with your volume in your tracks. Yeah. You can actually peak, and start what's called automating your music and your audio in each of your audio tracks. And so when you go back to this one, when Andy, let's see if I can cue that spot up. When he's in his headphones, the music was a lot louder.
Willing to share your approach?
If I can find that again, I'll cue it up real quick.
Andy, Earth to Andy.
Oh, hey.
That was good move there.
Yeah, so you can see that, when Andy had the headphones on, you couldn't hear. So when it cued to his scene, the music peaked. So I automated the same music track that's playing through to go louder at that point. And then when he took the headphones off, boom, it slid down. So therefore, we can actually hear the dialogue being played out. And so these are just little pieces that really add up to creating a holistic experience through your courses that many people don't understand or is happening, and we just appreciate kind of unconsciously. So as course creators, when we're creating our courses, these are things that it's our duty to understand these things, unless you have the means to hire someone to take that on. So, luckily enough that's something that I've been trained in and have been actually sharing with Brad all along, and he's getting much better at doing this stuff too. And that's why I'm just grateful to be able to share this stuff that I've been able to, as we all as a community learn and grow together.
Yeah. And Steve, who's on with us today, he's actually creating a course around all of the audio pieces of your course, and his course is called Audio Nemesis. So that's going to be coming out later this year, and we've gotten a few sneak peeks of some of the characters from his course. It's like a superhero theme, and it's going to be freaking hilarious and so good. So definitely pay attention on the eCourse Adventures list, and when Steve goes live with his course, we'd love to have you on the show, Steve, to come and share your work, because just having watched you in the community over the last 6 or so months, I mean, you're doing such a great job, and the quality that you're going to be producing is going to be amazing. So We'd definitely love to bring you on and share your expertise when your course goes live hopefully within the next couple months. Yeah, and fun, ridiculous amount of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions throughout this course or throughout this program, by all means, get onto our live chat. It's on our YouTube channel. So I've got to be a way to link to that.
Yeah.
Somehow you might be on YouTube now, or you might be on our page, or you might be watching it in the future from here. And so we're actually talking to you from the past.
Whoa.
And tune in, whenever you can. We'll try to keep you updated with that. Subscribe to, we're going to have a future channel where it's dedicated to e-course adventures. Right now, this is on Bradley's personal YouTube channel until we get that set up. So you can eventually subscribe there. And is there a way to subscribe to our emailing list? You also send an email out, right?
Just go to thegreatecourseadventure.com and you can sign up there for our email list. We've got so many changes. Like this summer, 2018 for us, this summer is going to be really monumental and transformational and shape the future of where this company is going. On that note, we did do our first ever real life investors pitch, and it's looking like we've got a deal coming through. We've got to work out some more details, but this has been an amazing process for us. I mean, I started working on the pitch deck back in December of last year. It's been a 6-month process of building out the business plan, doing the spreadsheets, getting the numbers in order, and receiving a bunch of mentorship along the way for the work that we're doing here at eCourse Adventures. I mean, for us, we're just two dudes that are creating courses on building courses, but that's obviously not the future of this business. The future of this business is we want to create a network or a marketplace where teachers and creators and artists and media makers can come together and collaborate and build courses together. So here's Steve's course, the Audio
Steve.
Nemesis. That's his website, theaudionemesis.com. And so his course is going to be coming out very soon.
Nice. I just want to say to Steve, as I just Googled Audio Nemesis and I couldn't find it. So try to get into your back end and work on getting your tags all in place to improve the chances of people finding you.
Yeah. Tag your back end there, Steve. We could say that. It's our show. We want to create like a Netflix like environment where, the people that are making awesome courses can be featured. And for us, rather than something like Udemy or lynda.com where they have thousands and thousands and thousands of courses and they're focused on quantity, because the more courses that are on their site, the more people paying their monthly memberships, the more commissions those companies are earning. For us, it's all about quality. And so we want the connection between eCourse Adventures and the courses hosted on the platform that we're building this summer to be associated with quality and experience. That when you sign up for a course on eCourse Adventures, it's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be super fun. And so all of you listening, start building your courses, do your best work, and we hope there's a home for you on the eCourse Adventures platform. And it's going to be a space where you can connect with other creators, technology companies, media makers. The reason our stuff has evolved in the way it has over the last few years is just because of the quality of collaboration that we have on our team. That we were all doing separate things. And what would happen if we started doing those skills and bring them together on one project? And it's really life-changing.
Yeah, truly amazing when we do work together, even just in the community. Just the amount of amazing feedback that we get to see and to share, and when we know other people are watching that aren't necessarily going to tear it apart. Because we're all helping each other. We know we're, quite sensitive and vulnerable when we share our creative pieces, and when we're all together in the same boat, it's a really beautiful experience.
Yeah,
very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I reckon we've definitely nailed some things home here. So the top takeaways for you is to just, as you're creating your scenes and your environments, it's always a really important thing to have a mood in mind when you're creating your video clips. So if you're creating a video lesson, ask yourself, what is the mood or what is the emotional response you want the person to have? Is it you want them to laugh? Is it you want them to lean in and pay attention? Is it like you want to scare them a little bit so that they take action immediately?
Or do you want them to feel safe and comforted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the mood? And finding music that triggers that mood in them so that the words that you use and the music that is in the undertone of that clip can go together. And that's what's really going to create an amazing, powerful experience for the viewer.
A really good exercise that you can apply to your lessons is turn the video off. Just listen to the audio. Does the audio track by itself give the listener at that point the same feeling that you're trying to portray with all the visual work that you're doing?
Yeah. And another great thing is doing the exact opposite and turning the audio off and watching your videos and just seeing what it's like to watch the video that way. You can pick up so much in your body language and just what the overall vibe of the scene is just by taking the audio away and watching yourself on camera. And you might find that you're incredibly stiff and rigid and you're not moving your body and you're not really fully expressing yourself. And so if you just pay attention to those subtle cues, you can really do a lot to help people stay more engaged. Like, see, I just did that as a form of expression. Yeah, you see, I just do that all the time now.
For all the ones just in audio land, he rolled his hands.
Yeah, I rolled my hands. And now I'm like doing like a little, I don't know. It just works.
Shrugging his shoulders.
And then I'm kind of like pointing over at Blair like, this man is an audio genius. And over here, I'm holding my heart now, and that means I care about you. I'm expressing myself out to you, the audience out there. So as you can see, we can do a lot with gestures as well as sound. I'm pointing to my ears now.
Body language is huge. This is something that if you're wanting to get better in front of the camera, if there's around your area a way to even take some basic theater courses, getting into an improv group to start just putting yourself out there. So much to learn, taking these sort of lessons. There's a lot of skills that are at play when we're creating really engaging e-courses as we're moving forward into this new frontier.
Even playing charades, it's so great. I mean, we used to do this as a family at Christmas time. Growing up, is we would have the kids against the adults and we'd play charades, and the kids would have to come up with like 20 scenes, and we'd put them all in a hat that the adults would have to act out, and the adults would do the same thing for us.
Cool.
And it literally became a family war every year for us, that we'd be battling over this epic charades game. And so charades are a great thing. You can do it with your friends when they come. If you also watch, there's a show on YouTube called, or it used to be on TV back in the day, people watch TV, but Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, yeah,
it's an improv show. You can get so many great improv games to play with a small group of friends. I mean, even if 4 of you are sitting around with nothing to do, play an improv game, you'd be laughing your ass off, having lots of fun, and you'd be improving your presentation style.
Nice. Yeah, lots of good things to be able to increase your skills.
But you're never going to get better if you don't do it. You just stay the same forever. Who wants to do that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The horror.
So that's the show. We were going to play the music game. Should we play a round of the music game, or are we done? Are you done?
I think we're done for the music side. We never got around to the music game. We could maybe do that another day.
We'll do the music round, the game another time. Actually, you know what? We'll save the music game because it's going to be a lot of fun for when Steve comes on the show.
Nice.
So we've got a game for when you come on the show, Steve. And
I think like, a few more minutes left, until the half hour point comes around. But
you don't need to drag the dead donkey. We can just cut it.
Well, I wanted to quickly chat just about our experiences with talking to investors.
Oh, that. Yeah.
It's been an amazing experience getting in front of all these amazing individuals who have been in the business world quite successful for decades, and the feedback they've been giving us with our pitch deck that we've created, learning how to even create a pitch deck. These are things that as we all move up in this new age business world together, and learning how to generate our income streams, and just get the support needed. It's been quite the experience for me. It's something that I've never really thought of getting into, but it's a necessary part. And so just that's why I wanted to bring that up kind of quickly, you know?
Yeah, it's been an internal battle for the last 6 months while working on this pitch deck of like, do we need investment capital? Can we just continue to bootstrap in the ways that we have? Is it the right path? Should we do it? Blah, blah, blah. It's just been back and forth. But the simple practice of just writing an official business plan again and again and again and again and refining it and refining the marketing strategy. I mean, in the process, we've actually come up with our marketing strategy. You know, it was through this process of constantly contemplating, like, how are we actually going to grow into this vision that we're thinking of, that we came up with the ideas that are going to help us get there. And so, you know, writing an executive summary, ours turned out to be about 7 pages long. Creating you can look up Guy Kawasaki 10-page pitch deck. It's basically this 10 slides you use for a pitch deck. Even just doing that is an amazing exercise so that you know what you're doing. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, then chances are you're going to hang out on freaking Facebook all day making silly memes that get you nowhere in life. Don't do that. Create a business plan and then execute that plan. And if the plan doesn't work, then make a new plan. But don't sit on social media. It's such a waste of time.
Totally. You're going to probably create a lot of things that you don't need to and waste a lot of time until the clarity really it comes through. And so this has been really helpful for us. We've had a few different incarnations of our business plan as
12
as we evolve. So you don't have to think that your business plan is something you have to stick to once you create it. It's going to change as, you know, the second you finish creating it, it's probably wanting to change already. Yeah. And so that's part of the fun and the clarity that we have been given by doing this practice of creating essentially this business plan. It doesn't have to be like this business plan that we might think is that we had to do in high school, you know, or something, or college. It's simple, even just 10 slides to communicate using Guy Kawasaki's model, very powerful, and then getting in front of people. You know, right now, because we're expanding at this point, we need some extra venture capital to get us, you know, to the next layer or level, and so yeah, we've been pitching to a bunch of really powerful people, and it's been really illuminating. And you know, some of the things that they get back to us, like the first time was being able to show our money stream already. We've been very fortunate that in this industry it's very lucrative, lots of opportunities, and so we've been able to show a surplus of income already. So that's been very helpful. And also, like, where is the money that we're looking to collect? Where's that actually going? So we've had to then go through and show that in our slides. Another big thing that came through for me was, you know, we were asked to be able to demonstrate our exit plan.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Something that I've always been like, well, why have an exit strategy? We're loving it. It's great. We don't want to exit, but you know, for an investor, they want to know, like, when are they going to cash in on their investment? What is like the big picture on when are we expecting to burn out and get another CEO to essentially take over the company because we're ready to like go do something else or start our next business.
Which is a whole, like, it's an idea that I don't know. I don't really want to be thinking about. You know, is this idea of burning out and wanting to get away from the business because we're in such a good space. This is just a lifestyle that we love creating and doing and being part, but it's a reality that seems to be there at this point.
So we're going to make something up.
We're going to make something up. Who knows, right? But it is something to think of, like, when this stuff gets really big, you know, if everything that we're doing, or when everything that we're doing really starts getting huge, is it still what we want to be doing? And right now we're having fun working in a spare bedroom, making this sort of media and having fun working together. But next thing you know, if the team becomes 20 people, our role is going to be much different. Are we still going to be enjoying that? It's kind of this really interesting process to start thinking and getting clear of what do I actually want to be doing in this company as it expands, because we all hope for our companies and everything we do to blow up and become these overnight successes.
For an entrepreneur, there's a good chance that deep down inside, we hope our
we all want to
business
be
gets
millionaires,
really
some way, right?
We can say, no, not me. I just want to serve. And that's great. Maybe you do.
Totally.
But if you just want to serve, then go be a Mother Teresa or Gandhi and don't accept money for it and just do it because you enjoy it. Like for me with teaching kids golf, I just do that for free because I love it. And so if that's your thing, then just do that. But if you're an entrepreneur, then the name of the game is, yes, to serve and to make money and to grow your business.
And I love what you shared with me a few years ago when I was healing this relationship with money. Could you share that about?
I don't know. I might have shared a lot of things.
He has shared a lot of things over the years. It was kind of along the lines that the more successful, the more service that we are successfully offering, and the more influence in the world that we're offering, as a result, tends to be this influx of income coming back and showing that we are actually being successful at influencing the world in what we're doing. And it's this nice indicator that we're doing things right. And then I started realizing, I that's what I want to be able to be of service in the best way that I possibly can. And the more influential I am in the world, this is one of the indicators that is in place to show that. And so it's like, okay, now I don't feel so bad of just being one of those kind of, I don't know, unconscious millionaires that are just plaguing society with killing the world and the environment and all the things that...
I'll slap you upside of the head. You've become one of them, Blair.
Yeah. So it's kind of this interesting bridge as we see what's happening and this idea of what money and power corrupts. And as we're moving into a new realm of conscious business, what that's going to look like. And I think most of the people who are listening to this and attracted to what we're about probably feel the same way. And as we're talking and getting in front of these business people who have been in this old world of business and money, and
it's still a present world. It seems old though.
Yeah, I mean, I say that.
Seems a little outdated. I watch. I'm like,
yeah, and I mean, it's true. It still is very present, and it's the bridge that we're creating. It's a reality that we also have to be not naive to. And so so it's been really illuminating. It's been great. So maybe as a practice, think what would happen in 10 years from now when everything that you've been aiming for starts to, hopefully it doesn't take 10 years, but in 10 years when it's...
15 years for me. I set out to be a millionaire 15 years ago when I dropped out of college and became an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm still not there, and that's okay. I've been having a hell of a good time.
Yeah, the 20-year overnight success, right?
Exactly.
And but in 10 years from now, let's say your wildest dreams come true. What are those responsibilities going to be? What is your role going to be when you have 10 employees underneath you? Are you still going to be creating the same things? Are you still going to be are you just going to become the teacher? And have a whole team? It's going to change. Are you going to be at that point having a whole bunch of people that are underneath you, that are teaching a younger generation and mentoring them and being the what's the word, the leader in that sense to help them come up and use your pathways that you've created? It's something to really think about, because this is happening. And when we get clarity, I think it really helps the world align for us to give us what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's such a good practice to have a plan, and that plan will evolve and change. But if you don't have a plan written down right now, even just a one-pager, then do that and just see what it is. Don't worry. It might not be a great plan for right now, but at least you have a plan. Have a plan.
Yeah.
Because as they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So that's it, folks. Next week, we are lifting off with Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS. He's the CEO of Lifter LMS. Lifter LMS is a WordPress software and for e-course creators. and they are one of our first licensing partners, and we're going to showcase what green screen magic looks like inside of Lifter and talk about their company philosophies, what they're up to, all of the bells and whistles for all of you e-course creators out there. So we're looking forward to a conversation with Chris. Chris is a wicked guy. He's been in online education for a lot of years. He's got a lot of wisdom, and it's going to be a fun conversation. So we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.